Hey guys, 7K Bex is here once again. I'm just pressing record because I'm doing what God is telling me to do. I'm not even eating. I have my food in front of me. I'm not even eating. I'm not doing anything else to get myself relaxed because this seems so pressing that I'm just going to do it. I'm just going to do it. Okay, a lot of you know who've been on my channel for a while. Some of you don't. I had this dream back in '09 about an enforced, mandated thing going horribly wrong. And we were like in this line having to get it, and this like angelic type guy came to me and talked to me and told me that I can't get it, that there's something wrong with it, like horribly wrong with it, that's bad, that something's going to happen from it. And he showed me like some of the things that happened to the society and to the people that took this. Then he told me when I started to see that, he told me when I see this, I have to leave the city, run into the wilderness, into the forest, live in the forest. I don't know how long, and don't come back, even for my coat, not for a friend, not for anything. And in the dream, of course, I felt like my friends were being like tortured. I felt like they were going through something absolutely horrible. So I came back to try and save one of my friends. And it was a mistake because I got caught and put into this place and stripped down. And like the stuff that they did in this facility, in this place, in this dream, it was pretty horrific. It's stuff that they've done in some other countries during 2020, 2021, when all this stuff was going on. It's stuff that they've enforced in other countries, but luckily they never did that in our country yet. So far, thank God. I feel like that I need to share some of the original documents and actually read them from the story that I wrote based off of this dream. Now, I wrote this story beginning in, I believe it was July of 2009. You can check out a couple of my other videos. I'll link them here so that you can be able to see what I'm talking about here. But I had this dream in like June, July of '09, and there were a lot of things going on that could have influenced it, of course. But when I had this dream, it really sat in my soul and it woke me up, and I stayed up all night sitting in the middle of my yard until I didn't sleep, trying to figure out like, what is this, what does it mean, when's it going to happen, what do I do, how do I stop it? And basically everything in my gut told me that it's going to happen, and that there's nothing I can do to stop it. The only thing I can do is write it down and tell people about it, and that's it. And so that's what I did. I wrote it down and I told some people about it, but I got in a rough state for a while, for a long time. Even when I first moved up here, I didn't have a computer. I was homeless. My parents were homeless, and so we didn't have a way to be able to work on this. So I printed as much as I had at the end of 2009. It was 121 pages, I believe. Yeah, 121 pages. I have like over 300 or something now. But so I printed all that off, and I've held on to it like religiously because something told me I needed it and that it was going to happen whether I liked it or not. It doesn't mean that this was about COVID or about anything in the future. I can't say, but it feels 100% prophetic to me. It always has. It has never left me alone. This dream has literally it drove me like almost to insanity a long time ago. And then when I found Christ existed and I came to, I realized that I was like, okay, so what do I do with this? And God was like, well, there's not much that you can do in the way that I like wanted to do it, because it's not about me. The way that I wanted to execute it, it was already past that point. All that I could do was hang on to it and tell people and protect it because I knew in my gut that it was coming soon. This was end of 2018. That it was coming very soon, and that I would be getting in trouble for this, and that all of my stuff could have been compromised. And I lost my website, and most of my posts about this content were instantly downvoted or called conspiracy or flagged or shadow banned or deleted. And this all just has to do with a topic from a dream that I wrote a story about from 2009. So my gut's been telling me to read some of these pages off to you, just to be able to prove to you guys what I've been talking about. Should have done it a long time ago. I only read like a little bit of it for you guys because I was just too nervous to even talk about it in the first place. I was getting nothing but constant flack. Now, I don't care because I'm just doing what God is telling me to do. And so that's what I'm here for right now. So in chapter 5, I believe it is, they're searching for a cure. And there is like a little piece of newspaper advertisement. There we go. Search for the cure. Yeah, that's the first one where they started to realize something was going on. But then you get to chapter 8, and in this part, she's being told that she's going to be fired if she won't get this injection. And they want everybody to be vaccinated. You know that every major corporation is doing it. It's the simple thing to do. It's the simplest thing to be fired over. I plan to get it, don't worry. I just think it's a stupid rule, all this stuff. She doesn't want to get it. She's just going to look for a new job. But then she goes home and realizes that there's a note on her door telling her that she has no choice but to get this because people have gotten sick. They're going to force everybody in that apartment complex to get it. It says that you have to get the vaccine by next Sunday or you're out. They checked your medical record. And this is the note that she got on the door. And these are two characters that have known each other since they're kids. They're like, kind of like siblings because they've known each other for like a very long time. They're fighting over the fact that she's going to get this for her job and for her place. He's kind of like an older brother to her, so he's like not having it, not wanting her to do this, and asking her to promise that she's not going to do this. But of course, in chapter 9, she goes and she does this, and the college is swarming with all these people that are fanning themselves. It's very hot. He saw something on the news saying that there were some bad side effects and that 143 other people just in the Los Angeles area alone had died. Then they wound up taking that news article and closing it out later and saying that disregard that. It was faulty evidence and we're back on track to get this thing. At this time, he's trying to find her. They're in line and he's trying to convince her not to get it. And right here it says, have you gotten the injection? No, but I'm about to. Miss, can you move along? Yeah, I have to pick up my kids in an hour. Eventually he says, don't get it. Look, I can understand I broke my promise, but I can't. It's like, no, you don't understand. There's something wrong with it. And there's proof. Can you move? Next, please. Just trust me, I'll explain everything later. And so they start to get in this little argument while they're supposed to do this, and like a little bit of a tiff ensues. And people are fighting over this, over getting this inoculation. They like have to get it. They're like freaking out about it. They're getting angry about it. They start kind of fighting in the line because she's taking forever. And a distraction happens and he's able to get her out of here. A whole nother character is affected by this in a completely different way because her partner is a cameraman. And sorry for the foul language there. I was 17 years old, forgive me. And eventually they start fighting over her trying to come back and save one of her friends. Like they leave LA, but then they have to go to San Francisco to try and save one of her friends. And so she keeps arguing that we're going here whether you like it or not, because this girl is like my sister and this is what we're doing. And so he's just really frustrated that he's doing this for her when his gut is telling him not to, but he's doing it anyway. I basically crafted the dream that I had into a story as easily as I could. I was trying to make sense of it by creating characters. Basically, they start seeing everybody change. People start changing and acting weird, acting aggressive, acting insane. They start acting like they're possessed, like they're getting really angry from just tiny little short temper things and not understanding. There's some of them that eventually start ripping their own skin off and trying to rip their own hair out. They don't understand what's going on. And even a guy like tries to come at her at one point because like people are slowly like kind of changing and she's like, what the heck is going on here? For a while they were like blaming the symptoms going on this shot. Then they were saying, nope, it's leishmaniasis that's in the water. And then they started saying, no, it's the shot. And then they started saying, no, it's cryptospirosis that's in the water. So they're basically just like scaring people into like, oh, there's all these pandemics, all these things going on. That's why you need to get this immune booster shot because it's going to help you. But all of the symptoms going on are from this. And they're blaming it on all these other things and saying that that's the reason why people need to get this. And there's like an interview on the TV right here. Researchers at the Center for Disease Control have discovered that this mutation is what they thought was a cryptosporidium virus. And again, here's one of the lies that they're telling on TV. The people are obviously not believing it, talking about flu-like symptoms and all this other stuff. What's wrong, you wondered? I don't know, was all I knew, which I didn't really know anything at the moment. Do you think it's from the vaccine? He nodded. I know it's from the vaccine. Hundreds of millions, maybe even billions of people received that shot, and those people were dropping like flies or going insane. I thought I might go insane too from all the trauma. What's going to happen now? That I don't know. We'll just have to wait and see. Try to stay out of the major cities as much as possible. And then as they're trying to get into San Francisco, they realize that the military is starting to quarantine it off. So this character does not want to go into San Francisco, but she wants to go save her friends, so they're going to do it. And while they're at their friend's house, her friend is saying, like, what the hell is going on out there? Why is this happening? It's the vaccine, Chels. People are dying rapidly, and now the others don't know what else to do. I heard about it. It's been on the news all day, but I had no idea what they were talking about. Because, of course, the news keeps going back and forth within the story. It's just like great deception. Like everything's back and forth and nobody really knows what's going on. This increases with other events later on throughout the story, other things that happen, like certain attacks, certain terrorist attacks, certain natural disasters. People keep blaming all different parts, and there's little rumors here and there, but nobody really knows what's going on. It's kind of like a big deception going on. There's riots going on everywhere because of what's going on. There's riot patrol coming around, military trying to block off the city, literally riots across the world. And basically they watch somebody pass out on TV. And her friend's saying her boyfriend, Nick, got the vaccine for work. He's been down there helping the crew all day. I've tried to call him and he won't answer anymore. He said he was coming home, but that was 2 hours ago. There we go. There it is. Suddenly, the camera tilted down to the floor. A few people began shouting and whispering to fix it with the scuffling of feet before the feed cut out altogether. A blue screen appeared for a moment before it went to a California landscape with the words, "Stay tuned, we are experiencing technical difficulties," depicted on the screen. Soon after, calming music accompanied the picture for another few minutes. That is somebody passing out behind the camera. What possible technical difficulties could they have been having other than the camera? Why did the camera fall in the first place? The cameraman would have had to let go of the handle in order for it to just tumble like that. Why would he? He's a trained professional. Was he just as scared as I was? And so they basically realized that somebody is passed out on TV, and this keeps occurring. And I find that kind of telling. That was one of the first signs that I was like, okay, like there's something to this here. That's why this character is so scared, because her partner Nick just got it, and he's at the station recording, and someone who's on the camera, which her partner works the camera, has just passed out. And so she doesn't know if it's him or not, and she's starting to freak out. Nick just got it for work. He's been down there helping the crew all day. Yep. And basically, a lot of this has to do with characters having dreams. That's the whole beginning of it. And this also occurs in like chapter 19. She has a dream about this event at the beginning, and it just keeps reoccurring over and over and over again. Basically, the dream I had is like the dream that this one character keeps having. And so the event occurs at that chapter, and it starts replaying to her, and she starts like freaking out a little bit, losing her mind because she's seeing deja vu. And she starts having gut feelings and images that something is going to go wrong with the bridge, so they can't take that road. And she's right, and that actually does happen. And this happens a lot to these characters. They start to see things, visions and gut feelings, whisperings of things to come in the future, and they actually wind up happening. And so some of them believe in God and some of them do not. At this time, I didn't know what any of that really was, so I was trying to figure that out myself. But in the story, some of these characters believe in God, some don't, but they're trying to figure out why this is happening, why they're seeing these things occur before it actually happens, and what it means. And so that's like a really significant part of the story, is they all wind up having dreams about each other, about situations, and a lot of these get proven true. And so they slowly kind of find God through the situation. Some people lose God through it, some people find God through it, they never had it before. Some it just gets fully confirmed, etc., etc. And so I planned this from the beginning, but I didn't really know what I was doing with it, because I wasn't sure what was going on. But my gut was telling me, I prayed to God, not knowing what God really was, but I prayed to the highest of the highest of the high, the Father of truth, that if this dream was from him, if it meant something, what it meant and what I was supposed to do with it. And my gut told me that it was going to happen, so I had to write it down in the way that I know how best, which is I write a lot of stories. And so I wrote it down in the way that I know best. And then I had to tell people about it, and I had to protect it because I was going to get my butt in trouble for it. And at the very end of this story, I don't think I have any of those pages printed out, to be honest with you. No, I don't actually. This page, this chapter, is the chapter before that event happens. Man, I wish I had that printed out. Oh, I didn't write that part until after I moved. It took me a while to even get a computer running to be able to do that. Yeah, I didn't get that part written until I think it was like, oh gosh, it was like April or May. It was the end of high school, because I had to focus on graduating. I only had 4 months left to graduate, and I moved to a new state, and I had to do all these state standardized testing. So I was going to fail. So I could, and I didn't have time to worry about this. Even when I got the computer going, I didn't have any time to worry about it. I had to figure out if I was gonna how to graduate and everything. So I let that go for a while. And I wrote that part about the quarantine center. I wrote that in the middle of 2010 and 2011, and I was trying to understand it better. So I started researching a lot about World War II, and if we were going to do that again, like a World War III situation, what it would look like, what legislation has been passed, trying to better understand this situation. This last chapter here is the last one before the event where they get kidnapped. And it's one of the characters' birthdays, and they're sleeping in a car in the wilderness. She takes over and starts driving like how I saw in my dream, and start coming back into town. I got caught in the dream, and so I put that in that chapter where they get pulled over. They get pulled out of their vehicles, and they have to stand in this line to enter this little tent, and they have to take their clothes off when they get to the end. Like the guy's like normal with it because he was in the military before, so it's like whatever. But she like like yeah, she has been in a dancer at one point, so she isn't that bothered by it, but she's really uncomfortable because she doesn't want, especially this one individual, to see her naked, because it's kind of like a brother to her, and it makes her really uncomfortable. And so now she has to strip down, and she doesn't want to, and they have to get naked in front of each other and do this decontamination thing, and he calms her down and tells her it's going to be okay. And so they have to file into these tents and everything and strip down. and do this decon, or they're like sprayed with these chemicals and scrubbed, and they don't even get it like all the way out, and like the damage that it does to her hair. She even mentions that, like the way that it treated her skin and her hair is like absolutely horrible. And then when they get in this facility, they're being forced into separate directions. They're separated, they're put into these rooms, and then they're trying to force vaccinate them, and they don't want to be, and they're fighting against it. So they wind up sedating this male character because he's too strong for them. And he's taking their people out, so they wind up sedating him. But they start giving these people this, and they start doing experiments on them in this facility. And so the characters try to escape. The female, she tries to escape 3 times, and she eventually winds up meeting up. And this is what happened in my dream. I tried to escape 3 times, and every time I tried to escape, they would put me back in, and it would get more forceful every time. And so I had to find a way to like trick them. So I went and like hid in this janitor closet, and so that's what I wrote down, is that they have to go in this janitor closet and they have to like change their clothes. I even put that a military employee was there and helped her out and stuff. So I was trying to find a way to make this work. But in my dream, what I did was I prayed, and I wasn't even religious at the time, but I was like, please get me out of here. God, get me out of here. I need to get out of here. Like, don't let me get caught. This is the 3rd time I cannot get caught. And so I prayed and prayed and prayed and prayed and prayed that I wasn't going to get caught. And I got out of there, and I didn't get caught. And that's what I wrote down for these people. They got out, they didn't get caught. And then the very tail end, they get caught. And these soldiers, these dogs, and these flying little drone balls start coming after them, which is what I saw in my dream. And so they start trying to run into the forest, past the fences and everything, and they're able to get past this situation. One of the characters' very close friends dies in this situation, and it becomes very traumatic later on for her because of this. But because this person was very close to her, you know, they had kind of like dated before a little bit, and he doesn't make it. Well, they get out of this situation, but they get chased by these like drone kind of UFO thingies. They're little orb drones, but it's like UFO technology that like I saw this in a dream, and I'm like, I don't know this kind of technology. And so like I tried to put it in that story, like how am I going to explain this? Like they were wondering, like, is this aliens? Is this UFOs? Like, is this the government? How do they have this tech and we didn't even know about it? They're just kind of freaking out. And that's it. That's all I have to share with you guys about that. Yeah, I just really felt like it was something I needed to do. I don't care how stupid it sounds. I don't care how anybody judges me, because you know what? These are my printed files. Sorry, they're out of order because I've been sifting through them. But this is it, and it was printed in 2009. There you go. You apparently saw my name. I even have like all these corrections from like my horrible handwriting from when I was 17. I'm just amazed that God is so amazing to be able to give people dreams about things that can actually occur. And I'm not here to say that that's what's happening. I'm not here to say that that's all true, but you guys asked about it, and so I told you. I figured I would explain this because something in my gut, God has been telling me that I didn't tell enough people in the way that's going to make them understand that God has warned a lot of us about this situation. And I can't say that it's for C-19. I can't say that it's for something in the future. I don't know. But when I started to see the nuclear, chemical, and biological defense plans that they had trained for back in like 2008, 2009, around H1N1 swine flu, and how they were going to handle that, what I saw in my dream, like being stripped down, being put into these quarantine facilities and everything, that is exactly how they handle this stuff. And when I looked up those protocols to try and figure this out, like 2010, 2011, I looked up those military protocols, and those are actual protocols. And I've also seen it in other videos. I have one posted on my channel. It's one of the most recent ones. It's from a documentary by the filmmaker William Lewis, rest in peace. And it's called Camp FEMA Part 2, Enemy of the State. The first one was called Camp FEMA American Lockdown. And both of them are very interesting. They were made in 2009 and 2010. I didn't know about these back then. I didn't know about any of these documentaries. I had just started to find that information out, that we actually had legislation in via the Patriot Act to do this legally, that if this occurs, any sort of emergency, they have that right for the Emergency Medical Powers Act. They have that right to be able to enact this kind of thing. And so I looked up the military protocol, and that's exactly how they do it. It doesn't mean that that's true and that's actually going to happen. It started to make me feel like God was really real before I even knew who God was, before I even saw Jesus Christ. This dream was like, I've had a lot of dreams that will wind up occurring like a few weeks, a few months, a few minutes later, a few days later, even years. And I write them down, or I try to remember them or tell people. And then when they occur, like clockwork, like to the T, it used to freak me out. I was like, what is this? This is like some sort of supernatural thing. Like, is this witchcraft? Is this aliens? Is this like superpowers? Superhuman? Like, are we evolving? I didn't know what it was. It's God. God can do this for anyone. He can show you whatever you want to know. Ask and you will receive. Even the dark stuff, he'll protect you. But if you keep asking about that stuff, eventually it's like you're trying to burn yourself on a burner. Eventually he's going to take his hand off of you, stop protecting you, and let you do it. And he did that for me. And I learned my lesson with this kind of situation because I didn't have a God like Jesus. I was just in fear about the situation and I didn't know where to turn. I didn't know who to talk to. I didn't know what to do about this. And it was when I found Jesus that I was like, oh, okay, it all makes sense. And then when COVID happened, it was like, let me sit and wait and see how this unfolds. And scary enough, a lot of it has been pretty accurate. I don't want that. I'm not the type of person to go like, haha, told you so. Especially when someone's getting hurt. That's not what I want. But something told me I had to share this because I don't know. I'm I just am. I just am and I hope that it helps somebody. I hope it doesn't lead anybody astray. I hope it leads you exactly where you need to be. God, I pray that this message will be able to get to the people that it needs to get to and help them in the way that you need to help them. I don't know why I'm doing this, but I'm doing this for you because you're asking me to. You've asked me to do this for a long time and I've put it off. No longer. I'm doing it now because you're telling me to do it. And I'm getting rid of all pride. This isn't something that like, oh, I'm so special because this was given to me. No, God is special. God is amazing because he's nice enough to give this to a lot of people, not just me. Not just me. There's a lot of people out there that have seen this same thing. And there's other dreams like that too that seem very prophetic and a lot of other people have seen, and I have a feeling that they're going to occur. But again, with those, all I can do again is write them down and tell people. It's the same exact thing with this one. This one I just happened to turn into a story because that's what I like to do. At least that's how I coped as a kid, dealing with my family issues, personal trauma, my sexual trauma, a lot of the other stuff going on. That was how I coped, was by writing different stories. I'm just doing what God's telling me to do. And I don't care who judges me. I don't care what you guys think negatively about it. I don't want praise. I don't want some stupid crown or a high seat. The only thing I want to do is sit with God. I don't need this humanly stuff. I don't want the recognition. I don't want my name known. I'm not here to try and be noticed. I even wrote this stuff like under a pseudonym because I don't want this to be attributed to me. Yeah, it's coming out of my mouth, but it's the visions and the words and the dreams that God has given me. I'm doing this for God. Since I was 17, I've been doing this for truth. I've been doing this for him without realizing what it meant, but it was my calling. And that's what I was told to do, so that's what I did. And so now I'm telling you, this isn't for me because I know it's going to embarrass the crap out of me. I don't care. I've been called enough names over this one topic for the last 3 years. I don't care anymore. This isn't for me. This is for him, for his kingdom, and for all of his people and for all of his creatures here to somehow learn some sort of lesson from it. I don't know what, but to be able to do something with it for yourselves, because we're all different cells in one body and he blesses us differently. Can't remember exactly which one it is, but I remember what it says. Everybody's given different gifts from the Spirit. All the gifts are different, but the Spirit that gives it is the same. Some people have ability to discern. Some people have the ability to have visions. Some people can tell evil from good. Some people have the ability of giving joy. Some people can create. Some people are better at music. Some people are better at whatever they're doing for God in a different way. And all those gifts are different, and they're supposed to be. But if the Holy Spirit gives that gift, the gifts are different, the Spirit's the same. That's all I have to say. We all have our own gifts. It's nobody's better than anybody else. I don't know what mine means, but I'm just going to God with it. That's it. Okay. I love you guys. I'm letting go now. I'll talk to you later.